And what's your profession?
Cosmetologist.
And you grew up in the parish of St. James. You went to high school here in Jamaica?
Down there in senior school.
Which is St. James High?
Yes, it's St. James High now.
How old are you?
55 years old.
You were arrested for cocaine transportation.
Yes, trafficking.
You were trafficking cocaine. How long ago was this? What year?
That was almost, let me see, it's February 25th, 21.
Where were you arrested?
At the JF Kennedy Airport.
In New York?
Yes.
And how much were you carrying?
The Fed said it was half a kilo.
And you were found guilty and sent to prison for how long?
2 years.
Were you in prison in New York?
I was in prison in New York for 8 months, and the rest I spent in Alabama.
When you went to Alabama, you were telling me earlier today that you went under inhumane conditions.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell me what that means?
Food you don't get. The food is like a pig dinner. Yes, your medicine, which I show you, you don't get. And when I don't get my life-saving medicine, then you know it's death coming. So
but what condition did you go into prison with? You said you didn't get your medicine, so
diabetes.
Okay.
Hypertensive.
You had high blood pressure and diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes.
And you were not given medication whenever you got sick while in prison?
When I go for the medicine, sometimes they tell me it's not time yet, forget the medicine. And then the medicine you will never get. And it's your life-saving, my life-saving medicine.
Do you believe that you were treated based on the fact that you were an immigrant?
Oh, yes. Not me alone. It's a lot of immigrants there. They are feeling the pinch of hell. If I never see hell, but I see hell in Alabama. I sure. I see hell.
Didn't you have any way of making a report to anyone in charge who would be able to help you?
Yes, I do, but they are just the same way wicked. Trust me.
About how many other women were in the same prison that you were in?
It's maybe about 2,000 of us there. And the most of them are immigrants. They feel in hell, I can tell you. There are other Jamaicans that are there. And they also tell me when I go to talk now to you, must tell what I know also about them.
Were you given the proper sentence?
No, my husband got a year and a day, so I did not.
Okay, so you were arrested and your husband was also arrested with you?
Yes.
Was he carrying the drugs? Or he was an accomplice?
Well,
maybe that is why he served less time than you? Is that possible?
I don't really know. You know what they're doing, but I know that just give me 2 years.
And gave your husband 1 year?
1 year and a day.
Okay.
Right. So.
But you were also saying that you believe that your sentencing should have been 1 year and 6 months. Where did you get that kind of information from?
Because there is a first step act in that America. Everybody come out on it. They are now in Louisiana, where I was, waiting to go home. And I went to my case manager and asked my case manager, Mr. What about my first step act? He said, not due to you because you are aliens and all the rest of aliens gotten theirs. So what about mine?
But why do you think they would have selected you out of all the women in that prison to give you extra time?
Not me alone. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not me alone. They give extra time. When I went to ask about my first step act last year, she said, my case manager said it's not due to you. But while I was in Louisiana, there was people there who come out on the first step act.
Okay, so was it that you were in a totally different prison?
No. I'm talking about the one prison over there in Alabama, the wicked prison.
So you spent 2 years in Alabama in a prison, and then you spent another 3 months in Louisiana in a detention center where the ICE would have you?
Right. So I spent 22 months in Alabama and 3 months and 12 days in Louisiana.
Do you know why you spent such a long time in detention?
I don't know. I want to find out. I really don't know. But I knew I have the law in America here, what time I supposed to spend. So I determine what am I supposed to do. Also, we'll get the foreign minister. What's his name? Camila Johnson? Her. Okay.
So are you saying then that you are going to sue the U.S. government?
I ain't afraid of them because they're not afraid of me.
Members of incarcerated Alabamians are speaking out tonight about recent reports of inmate deaths. Some reportedly died of natural causes. CBS 42 News reporter Jake Chapman live in Birmingham. And Jake, relatives tell you they're growing more concerned about the inmates' safety.
Art, they're growing very concerned about the inmates' safety, and some of the stories I heard this afternoon are pretty hard to fathom, from the violence inside prison walls to the food being inedible. And families here tell me no one should go through that. Do you believe anybody should go through that?
No, not even an animal.
This woman, who didn't want to be identified, shares with me some of the horrible things her loved one has seen in an Alabama prison.
It's a lot of violence. It's horrible. It's not just scary. It actually makes you mad.
She says the violence and conditions aren't the only problems either.
First and foremost, the food is horrible.
She said it's really, most of it's not good to eat.
This woman by the name of Connie tells me her loved one would describe the food as more than bad.
She said some of it tastes so bad that she can't eat it.
And someone who understands the pain these families are going through is Miss USA of 2020, Asia Branch.
It was terrifying to have that constant thought and know that that's a reality of it.
Her father served a 10-year sentence in Mississippi. She spoke with families and children at the church at Brook Hill Student Center, sharing her experience.
As I said, I don't know if the last time I visit my dad is going to be the last time that I'll get to see him.
Now, prison inmates across the state of Alabama on strike, protesting what they call deplorable conditions in all state prisons.
WVTM 13's Chip Scarborough is live for us this evening in Birmingham. Chip, what's going on here?
Brittany and Guy, the Alabama Department of Corrections confirming to us tonight that there is controlled movement and other security measures in place in state prisons as a result of those prisoners going on strike. Take a look at this video out of Montgomery today, where protesters hosted a Break Every Chain rally outside of the Alabama Department of Corrections headquarters. The protesters say they have loved ones who are in prison now. Some of the protesters even have been in prison themselves. The protesters have a list of demands for the Department of Corrections, including an immediate repeal of Alabama's habitual offender law, a repeal of the state's drive-by shooting statute, mandatory parole criteria that guarantees parole for all eligible inmates, and to end life without parole sentences. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey is weighing in tonight, saying the following, quote, "These demands, as the protesters refer to them, are unreasonable and would flat out not be welcomed in Alabama. It is also important for these protesters to understand that a lot of their demands would require legislation, not unilateral action. Some of these demands suggest that criminals like murderers and serial child sex offenders can walk the streets, and I can tell you that will never happen in the state of Alabama, where we always prioritize the safety of our citizens."
It's now week 2 of the Alabama State Prison inmate work strike. Way 31 has yet another exclusive look inside how it's impacting guards and inmates at Limestone Correctional Facility in Harvest. Way 31's Matt Kroschel joins us live now. Matt, you spoke with a correctional officer inside the prison who believes administrators are intentionally delaying meals to try to break this strike.
And Marie, some of that might be working. Within the last 30 minutes, ADOC's headquarters sending out a media release saying that of the 15 major facilities, 5 of those still have complete work stoppage from inmates, but the other facilities Some people have gone back to work. That correctional officer here at Limestone telling me he believes that administrators here are intentionally dragging out the feeding schedule. So at times, inmates are waiting up to 14 hours between meals as a way to break this strike here. That correctional officer didn't want to use his name, fearing retaliation by ADOC administration for speaking to the media. But the officer says work release inmates from nearby Decatur's work release program are coming in here to prepare the scaled back meals. Those consist of a piece of fruit, usually a piece of bread, and some other easily prepared items. Another correctional officer here saying that the staff is being forced to work 15-hour shifts with mandatory overtime there during this strike. The officer who spoke with us off camera says the special operations team by ADOC, it's called the CERT team, has been brought in. They've been walking around doing surprise inspections, but so far have not been assisting with feeding the more than 2,000 inmates inside Limestone Correctional Facility. I'm told elsewhere at other male prisons across the state, this strike does continue, and we've had reports of violence inside some of these other facilities